Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're diving into something that really connects millions of people everywhere.
Hmm.
The language of sports. It's so much more than just the scores or stats.
Absolutely.
It's this really vibrant, dynamic way people connect, share passions, and, well, even talk about everyday life. We've dug into our sources to pull out the most useful words, phrases, idioms, really, stuff to help you sound natural and confident talking about sports.
Yeah, and what's so interesting, I think, is how universal it is. The language around sports isn't just for game day, it's kind of a shortcut, you know? A shortcut to understanding a big chunk of English culture, full of surprising facts and honestly insights into how people think.
Right.
So, our mission today is really to give you that toolkit, whether you're a huge fan already or just want to make your everyday English a bit richer.
Okay, so let's start with something basic. We all know how to say, I like football. Simple enough.
Yep.
But if you really love a sport, if it's something you follow closely, how do you express that passion? Make it sound more authentic. Our sources say it's about showing that deeper connection.
Exactly. Instead of just, I like football, which is fine, but a bit flat maybe,
Yeah.
you could say something like, I'm really into football. I honestly never miss a match. Or, I'm a huge fan of tennis. I basically live for the Grand Slams.
Okay, huge fan, really into, never miss. That adds energy.
Definitely. Or if it's really part of who you are, maybe basketball is my passion. I've followed it since I was a kid. Using words like passion or huge fan, it just signals something more than preference. It hints at that loyalty, that almost tribal feeling sports can create.
That makes total sense for watching. But what about playing? When you're the one
Yeah.
actually doing the sport. How do we talk about that without just saying, I play?
Well, the key seems to be adding a little detail, some context. It makes it more real. So instead of just, I play basketball, maybe, I play basketball twice a week with my friends. Or give it some history. I've been playing basketball since I was in school.
Or the routine?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We usually meet up at the local court after work. And our sources also point out some great casual phrases like kick around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just means playing informally, like kicking a football about. We sometimes kick around after school, nothing serious.
Nice.
And work out. That's the general term for exercise, right? I try to work out 3 times a week. It just grounds it in reality.
Okay, so we've got expressing passion, talking about playing,
Hmm.
but say you're just chatting maybe by the coffee machine at work and last night's big game comes up. How do you jump into that conversation naturally?
Ah, the classic starter. Did you catch the game last night?
Can't go wrong with that one.
Pretty much. And from there, you can ask, who do you support? Or, you know, talk about how the game went. They were leading at halftime, but somehow lost in the end. Things like that.
And what about those really close games?
Oh, for those super tense, exciting ones, there's a brilliant expression. It was a nail biter.
Nail biter, right, because you're on the edge of your seat.
Exactly. And to describe the atmosphere, maybe the crowd went wild when they scored. Just being able to tell a little story about a game you watched. Using a couple of these phrases, it really makes your English sound, well, more alive.
I can see that. And that leads us to some of the basic building blocks, the vocabulary you hear constantly. I mean, most people probably know score or referee, but
Yeah.
how can we use them in a more, say, dynamic way, add a bit more nuance?
That's a great point. Because, yes, score, referee, they're fundamental. But a real deep dive means understanding their sort of linguistic neighborhood.
Okay.
So instead of just score, you might talk about the sprout line or ask what was the final tally. For referee, think about related roles like an umpire in tennis or baseball,
Ah,
or even how we use whistleblower. Metaphorically, someone calling out bad practice, like a ref enforcing rules. A champion isn't just a winner, they might have a champion's mindset. Your opponent could be a formidable opponent.
formidable, yeah.
A spectator is part of the crowd or the stands. A league means structured competition. So you talk about league tables or playoffs. It's seeing how these words connect to others.
Gotcha. So it's about making those basics work a bit harder for you, adding more color. And for adding real natural flair, Idioms are hard to beat, aren't they? They just make you sound so much more fluent.
Oh, absolutely. Idioms are fantastic. And our sources have some really useful ones, like hit it out of the park.
Meaning do something really well.
Exactly. Like hitting a home run in baseball. She really hit it out of the park with that presentation. Works anywhere.
Okay.
Or throw in the towel. That means to give up.
Like a boxer's corner, literally throwing in the towel.
Precisely. After months trying to learn that software, I almost threw in the towel. And then get the ball rolling. That just means to start something.
Let's get the ball rolling on this project.
You got it. Let's get the ball rolling on our new plan. These are woven into everyday English, not just sports talk.
Love how they cross over. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. What about stepping up the vocabulary for those, deeper sports chats, more nuanced stuff?
Right. This is where you can really show your command of the language. Think about the term underdog.
The team not expected to win.
Exactly, but often the ones with the best stories. Then there's comeback, a fantastic turnaround. When a team's losing but manages to win, you could say, it was an incredible comeback. They scored twice in the last 5 minutes.
Wow.
A draw or a tie in American English means the score was equal, no winner.
Unless
Unless you go into overtime, that extra period to break the deadlock and decide a winner.
Right. And it's not just the game, it's the players too, isn't it?
Yeah,
There are specific words for their experience level.
definitely. You go beyond just player. You've got pro or professional, someone who plays for money.
Versus an amateur.
Right, who plays for the love of it. A rookie is a new player, first season maybe. He's a rookie, but wow, he's playing really well.
And the opposite.
A veteran, someone experienced. She's a veteran of the circuit, been competing for over 10 years. Then for outcomes, a defeat is a loss. Maybe they faced a tough defeat. And triumph is a big win, often against the odds.
Wow.
And that feeling when a team suddenly clicks and starts playing much better, we call that momentum.
Ah, momentum. That's a great word.
Isn't it? They were the underdogs, but once they gained momentum in the second half, they just took control.
Gain momentum.
Yeah.
It really captures that shift, that change in energy. It makes you think how one thing can change everything. A real.
Your real game changer. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's another great one. Game changer is something that totally alters the situation. Could be a player, a strategy. That new signing was a real game changer for the team.
Or even in business, right? That software update was a game changer.
Totally. And if someone's sharp and alert, you say they're on the ball. Like she's really on the ball today, catching every mistake.
On the ball. Got it.
A level playing field means fair conditions for everyone. And go the extra mile, that's making a special effort.
Useful everywhere.
Yeah. And when you're chatting about wins and losses, instead of just win or lose, you can ask, who are you rooting for? Or maybe say, they're on a winning streak.
Meaning several wins in a row?
Yep. If it was a close win, they barely scraped by. A bad loss, that was a crushing defeat. No. And if someone's improved a lot, he's really stepped up his game. It just adds so much more color.
It really does. So bringing this back to everyday life, it seems like sports often become this way we talk about our lifestyle, like health routines and stuff.
Oh, for sure. People do that all the time. It's a common way to share how you stay active. You might hear, I took up running recently. Take up, meaning start a new hobby or sport.
Take up.
Or swimming helps me relax. I do yoga to stay flexible. Cycling keeps me fit. You can link it to your routine. I go jogging in the mornings before work. Or the reason why. It helps clear my mind.
My friends and I play football on weekends, helps me forget stress.
Exactly. Or I started yoga for my back, and honestly, it keeps me balanced physically and mentally. It connects the activity to the personal benefit.
And thinking bigger picture culturally, how big a deal are sports in English-speaking places? Is it just games or more?
Oh, it's huge. It's woven right into the social fabric. Seriously. Talking about last night's game, that's standard small talk. At work, with neighbors.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
People wear team shirts like a badge of honor. Big games are major social events, family gatherings, parties. Think about the Super Bowl.
Even people who don't follow the sport watch it.
Right. We always get together for the Super Bowl, even though we don't really follow American football otherwise. It's just the event. For lots of people, their team is part of their identity. I'm a Liverpool fan for life, it's deep loyalty. And it's usually a safe topic to break the ice. Even if you're not into it, you can say, I'm not really a football fan, but I heard it was an amazing match. It just opens a door.
Okay, so we know what to say and why it matters. Let's focus on how we say it. How can listeners get beyond just saying, it was a good game? How do they add that rich detail?
Yeah, the detail makes all the difference. That's what makes you sound really fluent. Instead of just good game, try describing the flow. They absolutely dominated the first half, but then seemed to struggle in the second.
Okay, comparing halves.
Or focus on the tension. It was so intense the score was neck and neck until the last minute. Kept us all guessing. Or strategy. Their defense was like a brick wall, but they just couldn't finish their chances up front. See? It paints a much clearer picture.
Definitely. And talking about painting pictures, personal stories,
Hmm.
they add so much depth, don't they? Turns a conversation into more of a connection.
Oh, personal stories are gold. Instead of, I like basketball, think about sharing an experience. I still remember the first time I tried playing basketball. I was so nervous just holding the ball. But the second I scored my first basket, felt totally unstoppable.
That's much more engaging.
Or a shared memory. Watching the World Cup final with my family, the tension, everyone shouting at the TV, the absolute joy when our team scored, the whole room felt electric. Stories share feelings, not just facts. They help people connect.
And those feelings, it's rarely just good or happy in sports, is it? It's usually a whole mix. How do we describe that emotional roller coaster better?
Yeah, you want more vivid words. Try things like, my heart was absolutely pounding during those last few minutes. Or if your team lost badly, I felt completely crushed, honestly. It was a real blow.
Crushed. Yeah, that captures it.
A big win might feel like pure magic. Or you could say, my adrenaline was just through the roof. These phrases convey that intensity, that real feeling.
And sports teach us things, right? Resilience, teamwork. How can we talk about those deeper lessons, that team spirit, in English?
This is where you can sound quite sophisticated, actually. You can reflect on it. Playing sports really taught me resilience, how to bounce back. Or I learned to trust my teammates, the power of working together. Even losing has lessons. Losing taught me humility and how to learn from mistakes, or the effort involved. All that practice showed me the real value of hard work. Sentences like these show fluency and deeper thought.
And to make descriptions even more colorful, we can use comparisons, metaphors.
Absolutely. They add so much life. Instead of just, it was exciting, maybe. Watching that game felt like riding a roller coaster, constant ups and downs.
This one.
Or the atmosphere in the stadium was as tense as waiting for exam results. For teamwork, the team moved like a single, well-oiled machine. Metaphors just make it stick in your mind.
They really do. Okay, last thing. You're in a conversation, someone's telling you their sports story. How do you react naturally, keep it going, show you're listening beyond just, wow?
Yeah, good question. You want to show empathy and encourage them. Try things like, no way, that's amazing, or wow, you must have been thrilled. Acknowledge the emotion.
Right.
To keep the story flowing, ask, so what happened next? Or show you understand. I can totally imagine how exciting that must have been. These little phrases make a big difference. They keep the energy up.
Okay, so bringing this all together, time for some practical challenges for you listening. First, just think about your own connection to sports. What do you like? Do you play, watch, maybe both? Ever been to a live game? Try describing that in English, maybe using some of the words we talked about.
And for a more specific task, think of a game you watched or played. Who was involved? What happened? Crucially, how did it feel? Try using words like underdog, momentum, maybe thrilling, or even crushing defeat, if it was one of those.
Yeah.
Then maybe try to remember a specific sports memory. First time watching, a funny moment, achieving something. Describe it. Maybe start like, I really remember my first ever football match. The stadium was just buzzing, fans singing like crazy. And when our team scored, the noise, it felt incredible, totally electric, something like that.
Perfect. And next time you chat about sports, challenge yourself. Try to use maybe one idiom we mentioned, one advanced word like rookie or veteran or streak, and maybe tell a tiny story from your experience.
Yeah.
The more you practice weaving in these details, the emotion, the nuanced words, the more natural and honestly engaging you'll sound. So keep practicing, keep sharing, keep exploring this language.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. How can mastering this language of sports do more than just help you describe a game? How can it actually connect you to that universal human experience? The ups and downs, the discipline, the teamwork. Building bridges, really, one shared story at a time.